starting line 1. Commander 2 of Trois Rouges recognized that it was those elements who attacked. And then further along, line 26, you refer to the gendarmerie who attacked or was attacked. On the basis of the report that was read to you during the hearing and that I'm going to read once again, I believe there's a mistake in the verb attack.
For CIV.
This is CIV OTP 0046 0099, page 01101.
Okay, I'm on. In the penultimate paragraph, it is written, it is not on the screen, subsequent to the statements of this person, before reaching Commander Coucougnon by telephone, commander of the Yupougon squadron attempted to ascertain whether he led an operation in Yupougon Kasagara, specifically at the RDR headquarters. He answered us in the affirmative, stating that the elements told him that they had to retaliate after having come under fire.
Monsieur le témoin, ça c'est le rapport.
Mr. Witness, this is the report that the chief of the district of police Yupougon made. So, in place of the word attack, should one not insert the word retaliate? Answer, I am entirely in agreement with you. It is not I who lived through this experience. So, what is written here is what should be maintained.
Merci, monsieur le témoin.
Question. I thank you, Mr. Witness.
Il y a aussi eu.
Question. There was also an exchange between yourself and the OTP and during or at the end of this exchange you stated that the minister Charles Blé Goude allegedly attended a meeting in the company of other ministers with the members of the High Command with a view to coming up with a proposal to be made to the Chief of State or the Head of State at the time. Are you not also confused in this regard? Answer. Well, whatever the case may be, if my recollection serves me correctly, I do not believe that I am confused.
Je vais vous lire votre déposition.
Question. I'm going to be reading your statement to you. 00140443. Request from the interpreter. Could counsel please wait for it to come up on the screen before we start interpreting it? Thank you.
Can you wait until it comes up from on the screen?
Pour vous donner un...
Question. In order to give you an overview of what transpired from this interview, I'm going to start reading from line 564 from page 0459. Interviewee: I do not recall, but it dates back to the month of March, and as things were dragging their feet, at another meeting I said that we had to go and see the president. Investigators: in order? Interviewee: in order for him to resign. Investigator: you wanted to ask him to resign? Interviewee: yes. And on that day, all of the military chiefs were in agreement with me. So finally I left in the company of General Casarate, General Mangou, and we went to the president's house. He received us in the presence of the Minister of the Interior, the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. End of quote. Mr. Witness, this is what you stated before the office of the prosecutor. You did not quote, or you did not mention, the Minister of Work and Youth, Employment and Youth at the time, who was Mr. Goude. The ministers that you stated were the ones I just mentioned. So in this meeting, did you not, or were you not confused? Answer: no, I was not confused. The list that I provided was not exhaustive. Question. Thank you, Mr. Witness.
Monsieur le témoin,
Question. Mr. Witness, throughout your testimony, you often made mention of activists and RHDP and LMP militants, and this has been mentioned many a time in the various reports that were presented to the OTP. Now, the question that I would like to put to you is whether objective criteria existed for the identification of such groups of individuals in order to determine an LMP or RHDP activist. You and your co-workers, did you at any moment in time come up with any specific criteria? Answer. Thank you. We did not draft any specific criteria per se, but when we are talking about a march initiated by the RHDP, of course, those in assistance are going to be the RHDP activists. On the other hand, when it is a march or a demonstration initiated by the LMP, those participating are LMP activists.
monsieur le témoin, je suis tenté de vous demander...
Question, Mr. Witness, I am tempted to ask you that if it is not a march organized by either of these organizations that you just mentioned, and if it is not in the context of a march, then what? Answer. Well, if it is not in the context of a march, it depends on the individuals present. For example, at Riviera 2, the students who were often gathered at the intersections and who were acting against the police or against the ONUC agents, they are the ones who were saying that they were patriots. So at that moment in time, we cannot use another term other than the term that they used themselves. Question. Thank you, Mr. Witness. I am going to be reading to you your statement to the OTP, investigator 0014 0170, page 0176.
Je vais commencer à lire.
I am going to start reading from line 204. Very well. I'm quoting the investigator who says, very well. The other thing that we discussed on the last cassette that I would like to specify, you said that there were incidents in Yupougon and in Williamsville where civilians were killed. What was this? Interviewee. The incidents, I know that on one occasion the BAE, I believe, came under attack, if I am not mistaken, by some youths. Because the BAE is just next to Mosikro. Mosikro is a neighborhood that is next door to the BAE barracks. I go on to line 232, and the investigator says to you, okay, who instigated those disturbances? Interviewee, well, I can't tell you that because I know that when I was given the information, they said that there were some youths who came, they wanted to attack them, and they were obliged to push them back. End of quote. Mr. Witness, here is an example of an attack led by youths in Mosikro, against the BAE. And neither you nor those who gave you the information are able to identify this. Why is that?
Alors, c'est très simple.
Answer. Well, it's very simple. If they themselves do not say that they are a member of one or other party, we're not able to say that they're members of a specific group, firstly. Secondly, we did not identify that group specifically. We can't say we talked about the term or used the term youths because we didn't know how to label them and we didn't know which group they were members of. Question. So you say, or you're saying to the chamber, that you did not identify them because when they came to attack the BAE, they didn't say they were youth from the RHDP or another group of youths, and you didn't identify them. Is that what you're saying to the chamber? Answer. That is correct.
Monsieur le témoin, je vais vous lire
Question, Mr. Witness. I'm going to be reading another report to you, a report that was presented to you by the OTP. It is item 00460097. I'm going to be reading page 98, says counsel.
objet. Je cite.
Ray, I'm quoting here, attack on the communal delegation of the PDC IRDA in Obobo, Sojefia, by individuals stating they are from the FESI of the University Campus Obobo number 2. Honour. It is my honour to report to you that on this day, the 3rd of December 2010, at approximately 10 hours and 24 minutes,
20
10 hours 24 minutes, Mr. Essian Quadio Fulgence from the communal delegation of the PDCI-RDA of Obobo Sojefia is informing us by telephone that the delegation situated not far afield from the police station of the 13th arrondissement came under attack by approximately 20 students from the FESI who had come from Obobo to University campus. Mr. Witness, in the first part of this document, it is said that the students who claim that they were from FESI attacked a university campus. And, as such, if I follow what you told me earlier, from or on the basis that they claim that they're from FESI, can we say, or can we come to that conclusion in this report by saying that elements of the FESI attacked the PDC RDA communal delegation in Obobo?
Je pense que pas faire
Answer. I believe that we should not confuse a police investigation and a police report. The report by the sergeant or the officer reports back on what he saw and heard. And that is different indeed from an investigation where he is looking for evidence. And here he is reporting back saying that there were students who claimed that they were from FESI. Here he is reporting back. Question. Mr. Witness, at an earlier stage in your identification criteria, you said, if I am not mistaken, please pull me up if I am, you said that one of the criteria is that an individual who claims that they are from group X or Y, and I'm trying to follow your logic here because I don't know how things function. So here are people who allegedly attacked the communal delegation in Obobo and who said that they were from FESI. And if I follow your the way you think, then these people from the FESI attacked Obobo commune. If you say to me, no, we have to have an investigation to determine who they are, then that's quite something else. Please go ahead. Answer. Thank you. When you put the question to me, I said that we did not come up with criteria. That's what my answer was. And then, indeed, to answer the question put to me just now, there was no investigation. So, as I said earlier, all he is doing is reporting back or saying what he said. So, it is announced to him that it was students who claimed that they were from Fessy who launched the attack. All he is doing is reporting that back.
Je finis ma...
Question. I have finished my reading and then, well, I'll finish my reading, then we'll move on. At the penultimate paragraph of the same document, the person reporting says as follows, and I quote, Mr. Akpli Syriac, known as General Crado, Secretary General of Abobo II University Campus, cell number 07396350, claims that these individuals do not come from his campus. End of quote. So, contrary to a number of reports that we have seen here, and your chief of service is asking the Secretary General of the Fessy, who is then told him that those people mentioned did not come from the university campus. Is this not a difference, as you just said, between a report and a police investigation? Does that not illustrate it? Answer. Well, thank you for comforting me in my position. He is just reporting back on what he saw. As I said, this is quite different from an investigation, because on the basis of this information, an investigation will be led in order to ascertain who attacked the house in Abobo of the PDCI. Question. So what should the chamber understand then? That the entirety of the reports, or the sum of the reports that your co-workers draft, is only a sum of non-verified allegations that are not yet verified. Answer. That is not quite correct, because if we were to suppose that he had not called the Secretary General in the campus to ask, then it would be said that those who claimed that they were from that structure had perpetrated those acts. That is what he heard, and that is what he saw. But it could be that, and this is often the case, another group came to say that I am a robber and I am such and such. And then later on in the investigation, you realize that this person is not a robber and they are not who they say they were. So this report gives information, but it has not yet been completely verified. So I'm not going to say immediately that what the policeman wrote is a non-justified allegation. It is true that it is information that he is providing, but in the investigation we will dig deeper and see whether what the Secretary General said is true or not, or whether what the plaintiff who came to the police station said is true or not. And then in the record or the report, this can be stated.
Merci, Monsieur le témoin. Monsieur le témoin,
Question. Mr. Witness, the French journalist who was part of the incident during the crisis, did you see that person yourself? Answer. I would like for us to say who that is. Is it the PDCE Cocody house incident? Question. Yes, that's correct. Answer. Thank you. Well, if it is that person, I received that person in my office even. Question. And so these are facts that you are all too familiar with. Is that correct? Answer. Precisely.
je vais vous lire d'abord
Question. I'm going to be reading to you your statement here, dated, well, this is transcript, edited version 1T125, 17th of February 2017, which brings us exchanges between you and the OTP, page 88, line 1.
Je pense que, je cite, je pense que c'est le contraire.
Quote, I believe that it is the contrary. It is the marchers who attacked the journalists, who was in fact wounded and taken into the PDCI house, whom we then retrieved to accompany him to the hospital. Message from the interpreter. Could counsel please be requested to wait until it's up on the screen? Thank you.
Until it's up on the screen. So, because it's better for the interpreters to follow better. Thank you.
Et donc, quand vous dites ça,
And so when you say that, the prosecutor goes on, allow me to call up item 0045 0489 0045 0489.
qui poursuit,
And the prosecutor goes on, line 10. So this is a duty report dated the 21st to the 22nd of December 2010. And he goes on. I would like to draw your attention, Mr. Witness, to page 0492, to the entry number 11, which indicates 11:30 in Cocody. Don't worry, I'm going to present the report to you, but I'm just going to read what the OTP said. The interpreter is still not up on the screen.
Monsieur le Président, je crois que la cabine m'a fait signe que je pouvais continuer.
I'm not speaking like this, you know.
C'est un transcrit que je cite.
Maître Bignon, I'm quoting from a transcript, T125, edited version, of the 17th of February 2017. I do apologize. It is a transcript of the 17th of February 2017. Message from the interpreter, but the interpreter does not have it on the screen and she does not have time to look for it while she's interpreting. Thank you.
we have never had on the screen the transcripts. We had the statements, the former statements, but not the transcripts of the last days. So I think we should just read it slowly and go ahead. Otherwise, if we always wait for everything brought up on the screen, we will never finish. Maître Bougnon, please, doucement.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Question. I thank you, Mr. President. I shall read slowly. So, let me start again from line 1. And I quote, I believe that it is the contrary. It is the marchers who attacked a journalist who, what is more, was injured, and he withdrew into the house of the PDCI, whom we retrieved and accompanied to the hospital.
À la ligne 6,
Line 6, the prosecutor continued, and I quote, I'm going to repeat the reference 0045 0489. There you are. I'm going to skip to line 12 and quote, I would like to draw your attention, Mr. Witness, to page 0492 under 11, where it says 1130 Cocody. And I continue on page 89, line 2. The prosecutor states, have you been informed, or were you were informed, you received that person? Who were the aggressors that were on the two 4x4 vehicles, beige-colored vehicles? And your answer, starting line 4, well, the individuals who were on the 4x4 beige vehicle were not the attackers. There is a document already in the case file. Do you remember whether the two individuals on the 4x4 vehicle were soldiers or not, military individuals? And unfortunately, we were not informed. And therefore, when they were taken aside, we had to protect them.
Monsieur le témoin, voilà ce que vous avez dit au procureur. Mais pour
Mr. Witness, that is what you stated to the prosecutor. But I'd also like to read out what the prosecutor read to you. We've already referred to the document. It's 0045 0489, page 0492. We're going to read what it says for 1130 in Cocody.
agression à main
Aggression, armed aggression with rifles on France 3 journalists, followed by the confiscation of his camera. According to what the journalist stated, Mr. Banerjee Joy Christophe, born January 19th, 1960 in Paris, son of Rama Prasad and the deceased Kamal Ghosal of French nationality, and I continue a bit further along, two individuals wearing, armed with Kalashnikov, wearing uniforms, arrived in front of the headquarters of the RHDP in Cocody, where they were filming for the France 3 television channel on a 4x4 beige vehicle. When they got out of the vehicle, those individuals shot them with real bullets. Following the shooting, they confiscated the camera, which was a Panasonic. End of quote. Mr. Witness, upon reading this report, which leads the prosecutor to making a mistake, you pointed out this mistake. Is that correct? Answer, yes, that's correct. Question, this error you pointed out because those facts were reported to you personally. Is that correct? Answer, yes, and I also met with the journalist. Question. If there is a mistake in a report, in a situation where you yourself had not been present or had not met with the individual involved, such a mistake would have been maintained and reported as such and might stay in a report. Is that correct? Answer, that's correct. I would even go so far as to say that that is why we always ask that reports go through the entire hierarchy, because as each hierarchical chief reads the report and sees errors, he asks that they be corrected. You have seen that on occasion I have sent a report back asking for further precisions. That's how it works. A report is not always perfectly correct, depending on who has drafted it. And as I said earlier, a report is not the same thing as a police investigation. Question. Thank you, but you see how useful it is to clarify these matters, because indeed we have been shown many reports here.
Monsieur le témoin.
Question, Mr. Witness. I'm going to read something. One last report. CIV, OTP, 0045 1319.
Je lis.
I'm going to read from the report. I have the honor of responding to letter number 12/MI/DGPN/PPA/PU-ANY, dated January 10th, 2011, from the chief of the Anyama police station regarding the setting up of a self-defense group in Akekoi extension following a post-electoral disorder. we must emphasize that setting up such a structure corresponds to a non-satisfied requirement on the part of police services. This situation risks being more harmful than useful to the peace of the populations concerned. We request, therefore, that the security measures be taken in order to reassure the populations. This letter was sent on February 7th, 2011. Mr. Witness, my first question, given your limited means, as the division commissioner who signed this letter has stated, were the necessary measures to reassure the population in terms of their security, were those measures taken? Answer: I believe that measures were taken, but were they effective or not, that's another question. But yes, measures were taken. Question: the concerns and fears, after all, Akeko is in Abobo. Is that correct? Answer: yes, that's correct. Question: were the concerns of the people in Abobo, well, put it this way, did you receive any information regarding concerns, similar concerns in other areas of Abobo? Answer: in the period referred to, generally speaking, as we said yesterday, from the point of view of personnel and equipment, means, if you will, we didn't really have what was required in order to protect the entire population. It's true that measures were taken, but it was not totally satisfactory for the population, and that's why, unfortunately, defense committees were set up. Self-defense groups were set up.
Merci, Monsieur le témoin.
Question: thank you, witness.
Monsieur le témoin,
Mr. Witness, mention has been made on the part of the prosecutor of amounts of money that allegedly were given by Mr. Charles Blé-Goudet to Commander Loba from the BAE. Do you remember approximately at what point in time that amount of money is said to have been given? Answer: it was between November and April. It was that period, but I don't know the exact date. Question: who informed you that money was handed over? How did you learn about that? Answer: well, I believe I indicated that it was Commissioner Loba, the commander of the BAE, who called me. Question: I know it's a bit difficult, but do you remember approximately what he said? What explanations he gave you, you being his hierarchical superior? Do you remember